Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Surviving Mars here on the Wooden Otter. I hope everyone has their Snuggies ready because today we have a few cold waves to weather. Let's get to work on some Surviving Mars. So the very first thing I do when I jump into the game today is I go to my domes and I start forbidding births at multiple domes. My biggest problem right now is that my resource base, my ability to produce resources like electronics and machine parts still isn't that strong, and I'm at the point where my population is growing faster than I can accommodate in terms of building new domes, so I gotta stem the flow somehow. So, unfortunately, gotta cut back on the number of babies. So just real quick, I want to go over how I handle getting through a cold wave. So you can see right now what I'm doing is I'm cycling some of my moisture evaporators off for one or possibly two shifts. And the reason I do this, I'm sure it's the less efficient way to do it, but the real problem with cold waves for me is less that the storage towers freeze, and more that the everything takes more electricity. So for me, when a cold wave hits, I'm not quite worried about water production, like water flow, because I have more evaporators than I need. I'm more worried about having enough power in the reserves to run them all the time anyway. Like if you have no storage and they turn off at night, your people don't have any water. Now, the way I should be doing it, I'm pretty sure, is putting subsurface heaters near my giant water tank that you see there, and that should alleviate the need to even run the moisture evaporators at night at all. And that's that's probably the way I should be doing it, and I'll be updating my base next time I go in and play. But for now, what I do is I cycle my moisture evaporators off for a few shifts every day just to conserve power. The very next day, a random meteor storm starts, and wouldn't you know, one of the meteors is heading towards my southern dome, the one that's kind of inactive right now. Of course, the dome takes it on the chin, and I start getting fractures in the dome. Luckily, it's one of the ones where nobody lives, but we'll have to get back to repairing that dome sooner rather than later, if I'm going to be expanding into that area. The meteors continue to rain down on my southern base where my metals extractors are. They destroy a few solar panels, and then one of them unfortunately hits one of the metals extractors and destroys it. It has to be rebuilt, and then a little bit later, another meteor hits the other metal extractor, and luckily doesn't destroy it, but it does need to be repaired. So we're just getting peppered down here at the southern base. Eventually this cold wave finally stinking passes, and the part that really bothered me though was that my drone hub had fallen into disrepair and it needed an electronic, and of course by the time I actually got the electronic to it, it had frozen. So then when the cold wave ends, it actually needs to be repaired again, so I actually lose two electronics in short order to the same drone hub, which is annoying because my electronics production is still not very strong. So it's a real shortcoming for my base. Sol 261 rolls around, and I decide that because of my burgeoning population and my growing problem with homelessness, I start converting housing into apartment buildings, because at this point, since I'm not really allowing anybody to have babies in most of these domes, comfort actually isn't that important in terms of child rearing. So it's still important, but at least this way it won't affect the birth rate in these domes, because the birth rate is 0. So apartments it is. At this point, since my population is growing, I decide to, unfortunately, I mean, because I'm so dumb previously, redevelop that southern dome, the dome that I had placed in order to be a research facility. I'm re-expanding it now and building, bigger and better versions of all the stuff that I had demolished previously. But I'm going to need to use this dome soon, so I start working on slowly building it up so I don't completely tap out my materials, which is a problem I've had previously, where I tried to build too quickly and then suddenly I'm out of metal and a cold wave hits and all my solar panels are down because I don't have any metal to replace them or repair them. And then everybody dies. So, wonderful. Not going to do that this time. We're going to build nice and slow. So it's Sol 269, and previously I had sent a rocket on an expedition to go capture meteors. And it was done, started a meteor storm, and luckily this time I actually start getting some new anomalies, and I get a whole bunch of metals and polymers raining down on the surface, so I finally have a use for my RC Explorer once again. It's been a long time since I've had any new anomalies. It's Sol 272 now, and I get a great dust storm. I had some heads up though, so I tried to front load as much water into my tanks as possible. What I did not anticipate was, as soon as the dust storm started, I get the missing Rover event, and my drone commander, Rover, down at the southern base just disappears just like that, and leaves all my drones by themselves. So I have to pick. I need that Rover. I need it. There's no getting around that. So I send out drones to go look for it, and unfortunately I end up losing some drones in the process, but that doesn't happen for a bit. So dust storm starts and my Rover disappears. Not great. The next day, the Rover turns up in literally the opposite corner of the map, and it's damaged, and I lost 5 drones just searching for it, unfortunately. So I send a drone off to repair it. One upside is, though, that by repairing it and sending those drones out, sacrificing those drones to repair the Rover, basically, I get a whole bunch of telemetry data, and it turns out that I get 5,000 research just for losing a few drones and repairing my Rover. So, not a terrible trade, because I do have, a fair number of drones still in the colony. So, I think I made out there. So now the dust storm is wrapping up. There's literally 8 hours left. Unfortunately, the sheer number of pipeline leaks that I've had to endure during this dust storm have really drained my water tanks pretty rapidly, much more rapidly than actual consumption. So even though I thought I had saved enough water, it turns out that I have not. And so we run out of water, unfortunately, just 8 hours before the end of the dust storm. So we're going to have to just live through it, but there's a lesson for you, is you always need more storage than you think you do, because those dust storms cause your pipes to leak like crazy. So, lesson learned here. Now, just a quick aside, the dust storms and the cold waves are kind of bothering me, that they're hitting me so hard. And so I decided I'm going to try and start transitioning to Stirling generators now that I actually have some electronics to play with. So from now on, I'm going to try and place a few Stirling generators around each dome, basically to augment the power production without having to worry about 1,000 solar panels or even a fusion reactor and having people work outside the dome, because I don't feel like dealing with the comfort, the sanity hit from having people work outside the dome. It's just not something I want to deal with, so we're going Stirling generators all the way, as many as I can. So at this point, Sol 282, it's actually getting pretty late in the evening for me, and I'm getting ready to go to bed and, save and quit and all this stuff. And a cold wave rolls in, and not only that, it's an extra long cold wave, because I get the long winter event, and it actually extends the duration of this cold wave 2 separate times. So it starts out, I think, at 4 sols, and then it gets extended to 7 basically, and then another event, another long winter event pops up, and it extends it another 3 sols or something like that. So I end up with like 11 sols in a cold wave, which is just brutal. And unfortunately, I'm not gonna get to see the end of that cold wave during this video, that's for sure, because it's like 1:30 in the morning at this point, and I'm going to bed, and my colonists are just gonna have to deal with it until I can get back to them and help them through this. So, long winter sucks.
Resources are low.
Then, just to top it all off, Meteor starts coming in on my base. Luckily, it lands somewhere near a Rover, and I'm able to move the Rover out of the way, but I've shut off my MDS lasers in order to save power during the cold wave, so it would be a real pain in the butt if a meteor came and hit my base while my lasers are frozen, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Alright guys, that'll have to be it for now. We've made huge progress on our colony today by weathering a few natural disasters with relative ease. We continued to work on expanding our colony, and that'll really pay off in the future, I'm sure. As always, please like and subscribe below, as it really helps out the channel, and I appreciate each and every one of my subscribers. Stay tuned to see what the Red Planet has in store for us next time on The Wooden Otter. Peace!